Welcome to my channel.
I am Lisa.
And I am Eric. Whether you're just starting your English journey or looking to improve your skills, this podcast is perfect for you.
So let's get started and make English easy. What are the words today, Eric?
The first word today is back-to-back. Then we will continue with seldom and errand. Then to show up. And the final one is cut corners.
Okay, let's start with the first word.
The first word is back-to-back.
Back-to-back.
Back-to-back. This phrase means doing things one after another without a break in between. It can also mean two people standing with their backs touching each other.
That's right, Eric. Let's give some examples to help our listeners understand better.
Sure. Here's my example. I had 3 meetings back-to-back today. It means that I had 3 meetings, one right after another, without any breaks between them.
That's a good example. Here's mine. The athletes stood back-to-back to compare their heights. This means that the athletes stood with their backs touching each other to see who was taller.
Great! Now, let's use back-to-back in a short dialogue. Are you ready, Lisa?
Yes, I'm ready, Eric.
Hey Sarah, how was your weekend?
It was busy, Jack. I watched 2 movies back-to-back on Saturday night.
Wow, that's a lot of screen time. Which movies did you watch back-to-back?
I watched The Lion King and then Frozen. It was a fun animation night.
That was a nice dialogue, Lisa. It shows how we use back-to-back to talk about doing things one after another.
Yes, it does. Eric, do you ever watch movies back-to-back?
Sometimes I do, Lisa. Last month, I watched 3 Harry Potter movies back-to-back. It took almost all day.
That's a long time. Did you take breaks between the movies?
No, I didn't. That's why we say they were back-to-back. I started one right after the other finished.
I see. It's important for our listeners to know that back-to-back doesn't change its form. We don't say back-to-back or backing-to-back.
Exactly. It's a simple phrase to use once you understand its meaning.
Do you think watching movies back-to-back is a good way to learn English, Eric?
It can be, Lisa. It helps you hear a lot of English at once. But it's important to take breaks and think about what you've heard.
I agree. Maybe watching one movie, taking a break to think about it, and then watching another would be better for learning.
That's a good idea. You still get to enjoy 2 movies, but you have time to process the language.
I agree, Eric. Well, that's all we have time for with back-to-back. Shall we move on to our next word?
Yes, let's do that. Our listeners know how to use back-to-back correctly now. All right, our next word is seldom.
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 Let's explore what seldom means, Eric.
Seldom is an adverb meaning not often or rarely. We use it to describe things that don't happen very frequently. For example, I seldom eat fast food.
Perfect. That means you don't eat fast food very often, maybe just once or twice a year.
Yes, Lisa. Now, can you share another example?
Sure thing. How about, my grandmother seldom uses the internet.
That's a good one. It means your grandmother doesn't use the internet very often. She might prefer other ways of getting information or staying in touch. Now, let's talk about where to place seldom in a sentence. It usually comes before the main verb, but after auxiliary verbs like is, have, or can. For example, he seldom goes to the movies, or they have seldom visited us.
Exactly. Now, let's listen to a short dialogue using seldom.
Hey Sarah, how about going to the beach this weekend?
That sounds nice. I seldom get a chance to go to the beach.
Really? I thought you lived near the coast.
I do. But I seldom have free time. I'm usually busy with work.
Well, I'm glad you can make it this time. We seldom hang out these days.
You're right. We should do this more often.
That was great. Tom and Sarah used seldom several times.
Yes, they did. Eric, is there something you seldom do?
I seldom cook complicated meals. I usually stick to simple dishes. How about you, Lisa?
I seldom wake up early on weekends. I love to sleep in when I can.
Interesting. Do you think it's good or bad to do something seldom?
It depends. Sometimes it's good to seldom do unhealthy things, like eating junk food.
True, but it might be bad to do healthy things seldom, like exercising.
You're right. I seldom think about it that way. Are there any habits you want to do more often?
I want to read more. I seldom read books these days, but I'd like to change that.
That's a great goal, Eric. Maybe we can start a book club and talk about books on our podcast.
Awesome idea. We seldom talk about our hobbies here.
Definitely. We should do that more often. Well, that's all the time we have for seldom. Let's move on to our next word. What's the next word, Eric?
The next word is errand.
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 Okay, let's explain what errand means. An errand is a short trip, to do a task or to get something. We often do errands to buy groceries, pick up laundry, or go to the post office.
That's right, Lisa. Let me give an example sentence. I need to run some errands this afternoon. It means that I have a few short trips to make to complete some tasks this afternoon.
Good example, Eric. Here's another one. She runs errands for her elderly neighbor. It means she helps her elderly neighbor by doing tasks like shopping or picking up prescriptions.
Perfect. Now, let's talk about how to use errands. We usually use run with errands because it means to go out and do those small tasks. We can also use do errands as well, but we don't use make errands.
Great. Now, let's listen to a short dialogue using our word errands.
Hey, Emily, what are you doing this weekend?
I have to run some errands on Saturday. I need to go to the bank and the grocery store.
Oh, I see. I also need to run some errands. Maybe we can go together.
Sure, that sounds like a good idea. We can help each other out.
Great. Let's meet at 10 a.m. and get our errands done.
That was a nice dialogue. John and Emily used the word errands a couple of times.
Yes, they did. Now, Lisa, do you have any errands to run this weekend?
Yes, I do. I need to pick up some dry cleaning and go to the pharmacy. How about you, Eric?
I need to get my car washed and buy some groceries. Do you think running errands is fun or boring?
I think it can be both. Sometimes it's nice to get things done, but other times it can be a bit boring.
I agree. It depends on the errands. Shopping for groceries can be fun, but waiting in line at the bank is usually boring.
That's true. Eric, do you ever run errands for other people?
Yes, I sometimes help my neighbors with their errands. It's a good way to be helpful.
That's very kind of you, Eric. Well, I think we have explained errand fairly enough. Let's move on to our next word. What's the next word, Eric?
The next word is show up.
Show up.
Show up. Show up is a phrasal verb that means to arrive or appear at a place, especially where you are expected to be. Let me give an example sentence. He didn't show up to the meeting yesterday. It means that he did not come to the meeting yesterday.
Good example, Eric. Here's another one. She always shows up on time for her classes. It means that she always arrives at her classes on time.
Perfect. Now, let's talk about how to use show up. This phrase is often used when talking about someone's presence at events, meetings, or other scheduled activities.
Now, let's listen to a short dialogue using our phrase, show up.
Mark, did you see Jack at the party last night?
No, Sarah, he didn't show up. I wonder why.
That's strange. He usually shows up for all the events.
Yes, I hope everything is okay with him.
Now, let's talk about the dialogue, Eric. Do you think it's important to always show up on time?
Yes, I think it shows respect for others. What about you, Lisa?
I agree. Being late or not showing up can cause problems. Have you ever had an important event where someone didn't show up, Eric?
Yes, once I had a meeting, and a key person didn't show up. It made things difficult. What about you?
Yes, I remember planning a party and one of my best friends didn't show up. I was worried about her. Why do you think people sometimes don't show up?
I think sometimes things come up, or they forget, but it's always good to let others know if you can't show up.
Absolutely. Communication is very important. Well, that's all for the word show up. We hope you found it helpful. Okay, now it's time to explain the last word of today. What's the last word, Eric?
The last word is cut corners.
Cut corners.
Cut corners.
All right, let's explain what cut corners means. Cut corners is an idiom that means to do something in the easiest, cheapest, or quickest way, often ignoring rules or good standards to save time or money.
Exactly, Lisa. Let me give an example sentence. The builder cut corners by using cheap materials. It means that the builder used low-quality materials to save money, even though it wasn't the best choice.
Good example, Eric. Here's another one. If you cut corners on your homework, you might get a bad grade. It means that if you don't do your homework properly and just rush through it, you might not get a good grade.
Good example. Now, let's talk about how to use cut corners. This phrase is usually used in negative situations, showing that cutting corners is not a good idea.
Exactly. Now, let's listen to a short dialogue using our phrase, cut corners.
Hey, Jack, have you seen the new office building?
Yes, I have. But I heard they cut corners during construction.
Really? How so?
They use cheaper materials to save money. Now, there are problems with the plumbing.
Oh no, that's not good. Cutting corners never ends well.
That was a useful dialogue. Sophie and Jack used the phrase cut corners a couple of times.
Yes, they did. Now, let's talk about cut corners. Do you ever cut corners?
Sometimes, but I try not to. For example, I never cut corners when I'm cooking.
I agree. Cutting corners can lead to problems. I never cut corners when it comes to my work. Do you think there are situations where it's okay to cut corners, Lisa?
Maybe in small tasks where it doesn't really matter, like folding laundry. But in important tasks, it's better to do things properly. What do you think?
I think you're right. It's important to do things well, especially when others depend on you.
Remember, listeners, don't cut corners when you study English.
It's good advice, Lisa. I totally agree with you. Okay, we have reached the end of today's podcast. That's it for today's episode.
Thank you for listening to Simply Explained English. We hope you learned something new today.
Don't forget to subscribe and like our videos. See you next time.
Bye-bye. I am Lisa.
And I am Eric. Whether you're just starting your English journey or looking to improve your skills, this podcast is perfect for you.
So let's get started and make English learning easy. What are the words today, Eric?
The first word today is stunning. Then we will continue with distinct and in spite of something, then to come up, and the final one is bite the bullet.
So, let's start with the first word.
The first word is stunning.
Stunning.
Stunning. Stunning is an adjective that describes something extremely impressive, beautiful, or surprising. We use it to talk about things that are so amazing they make us stop and look. For example, the sunset over the ocean was stunning.
It means that the sunset was so beautiful that it amazed people who saw it. It was really impressive.
Exactly. Now it's your turn, Lisa.
Okay, here's my example. She wore a stunning red dress to the party. It means that her dress was so beautiful and impressive that everyone noticed it and admired it.
Now let's talk about how to use this word. Stunning is an adjective, so we use it before nouns. For example, a stunning view, or the actress is stunning.
Good point, Eric. Now let's listen to a short dialogue using our word stunning.
Hey Jack, have you seen the new art gallery downtown?
No, I haven't. Is it worth visiting?
Absolutely. The paintings are stunning. I've never seen anything like them.
Really? That sounds interesting. What kind of art is it?
It's modern art. The colors are so vibrant and the designs are stunning. You should definitely go see it.
That was a great dialogue. Emma used our word stunning twice to describe the art.
Yes, she did. Eric, have you ever seen something that you would describe as stunning?
Yes, I have. Last year, I visited the Grand Canyon. The view was absolutely stunning. I couldn't believe my eyes.
That sounds amazing. I've never been there. What made it so stunning?
The size of it was incredible, and the colors of the rocks were beautiful. How about you, Lisa? What's the most stunning thing you've seen?
For me, it was the Northern Lights in Norway. The colors in the sky were stunning. It was like a magical light show.
Wow, that does sound stunning. I'd love to see that someday. Do you think stunning things are always natural, or can man-made things be stunning too?
I think both natural and man-made things can be stunning. For example, some buildings or pieces of art can be stunning.
That's true. It's interesting how different things can be stunning to different people.
You're right. What's stunning to one person might be ordinary to another. It depends on our experiences and what we find impressive.
That's a good point, Lisa. It really depends on people's preferences.
Well, that's all we have time for with our word stunning. Let's move on to our next word.
The next word is distinct.
Distinct.
Distinct. Distinct means clearly different or separate from something else. If two things are distinct, you can easily see their differences.
Oh, I see. Can you give us an example sentence, Eric?
Sure. For example, the twins have distinct personalities. It means that the twins who look alike behave in very different ways. One might be quiet and shy, while the other is loud and outgoing. Their personalities are not the same. They are distinct.
Thanks, Eric. I'll give the second example. The two paintings are distinct from each other. It means that the two paintings do not look the same at all. They have different colors, styles, and subjects. You can easily tell them apart. They are distinct.
Great explanations, Lisa. Now, let's talk about a small grammar point. When we use distinct, we often use it with the preposition from. For example, we say distinct from something.
Yes, that's important to know. Now let's move on to our sample dialogue.
Wow, Jane, these two paintings are so different. One is full of bright colors, and the other one is very dark.
Yes, Tom. They are quite distinct from each other. The first one makes me feel happy, and the second one feels a bit sad.
I agree. The styles are distinct too. The first one is abstract, and the second one is realistic.
Exactly. Even the emotions they evoke are distinct.
That was a nice dialogue. What do you think, Lisa?
I liked it. It shows how we can use distinct to talk about differences. Eric, do you think it's easy to see when something is distinct?
Sometimes it is, especially when the differences are big, but other times you have to look carefully. What about you, Lisa? Can you think of something distinct in your daily life?
Yes, my two cats are distinct. One is very playful and the other is very lazy. They also have distinct colors. One is black and the other is white.
That's a good example. It shows how distinct can describe both behavior and appearance.
Exactly. I hope our listeners now understand the word distinct better.
Me too. Remember, when you see or feel something is clearly different, you can use the word distinct.
Good summary, Eric. Okay, what is the next word, Eric?
The next word is in spite of something.
In spite of something.
In spite of something. In spite of something is a phrase we use to show that something happens even though there is a problem or difficulty. It's similar to despite. For example, in spite of the rain, we enjoyed our picnic.
Good example. It means that even though it was raining, which usually makes picnics difficult, you still had a good time at our picnic. Here's my example. In spite of his fear of heights, Tom climbed the mountain. This means that Tom was afraid of heights, but he still managed to climb the mountain.
Now, let's talk about how to use this phrase. In spite of is always followed by a noun or a noun phrase. If we want to use it with a verb, we need to add ing to the verb. For example, we can say, in spite of the difficulty, in spite of being tired, or in spite of raining yesterday.
Good point, Eric. Now let's listen to a short dialogue using our phrase, in spite of.
Hi, Mike. How was your vacation?
It was great, thanks. In spite of the bad weather, we had a lot of fun.
Oh no, was it raining the whole time?
Yes, but as I said, in spite of the rain, we visited many interesting places.
That's good to hear. I'm glad you enjoyed your trip in spite of facing the weather problems.
That was a great dialogue. Mike and Sarah used our phrase, in spite of, several times.
Yes, they did. Eric, can you think of a time when you did something in spite of a difficulty?
Last year, I ran a marathon in spite of having a cold. It was hard, but I finished the race.
Wow, that's impressive. How did you feel after the race?
I was very tired, but also proud. It was really difficult to finish the marathon. So, how about you, Lisa? Have you ever done something in spite of a problem?
Yes, I have. I once gave a presentation in spite of being very nervous. It wasn't easy, but I did it.
That's great, Lisa. Do you think it's always good to do things in spite of problems?
That's a good question. I think sometimes it's good because it makes us stronger. But sometimes it might be better to wait until the problem is gone.
I agree. Can you think of a time when it's better not to do something in spite of a problem?
Well, if you're very sick, it's probably better not to go to work in spite of having important things to do. Health is more important.
That's a good point. It's important to take care of ourselves. Well, that's all we have time for with our phrase, in spite of. Let's move on to our next word.
Sounds good, Eric. In spite of the time limit, I think we explained this phrase well.
I think so, Lisa. Okay, the next word is to come up.
To come up.
To come up.
Let's explain what to come up means. To come up is a phrasal verb with several meanings. Today, we'll focus on two common meanings: to arise or happen unexpectedly, and to approach or near something.
That's right, Lisa. Now, let me give an example sentence. Something important came up at work. so I had to cancel our plans. It means that an unexpected or urgent situation happened at work, so you couldn't keep your original plans.
Here's my example. As we came up to the house, we saw balloons and decorations. It means that as you get closer and approach the house, you notice the balloons and decorations.
Now, let's talk about how to use this phrasal verb. To come up doesn't need a preposition after it, but it can be separated in some cases. For example, we can say, a problem came up, or something came up.
That's right. And when we use it to mean approach, we often use to after it. Like came up to the house.
Good point, Lisa. Now, let's listen to a short dialogue using our phrasal verb to come up.
Hey Emma, are you ready for the party tonight?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Tom. Something came up and I can't make it.
Really? What happened?
My sister just called. She's coming to town unexpectedly and she'll be here soon.
I see. Well, these things come up sometimes. Maybe you can come up to the party later if you have time.
Thanks, Tom. I'll try to come for a little while if I can.
That was a great dialogue. Tom and Emma used our phrasal verb to come up in different ways.
Yes, they did. Do unexpected things often come up in your life, Lisa?
Sometimes, yes. Last month, an opportunity to join a new project at work came up. I decided to take it.
That sounds exciting. Do you like it when new things come up, or do you prefer when things go as planned?
I like a mix of both. It's nice when things go as planned, but sometimes unexpected things that come up can be fun or interesting.
I agree. Depends on what comes up.
Exactly. Well, that's all we have time for with our phrasal verb, to come up. Let's move on to our last word.
Sounds good, Lisa. I hope nothing unexpected comes up before we finish our podcast.
I hope so, Eric.
Okay, the last word is bite the bullet.
Bite the bullet.
Bite the bullet. This phrase is an idiom and it means to do something difficult or unpleasant that you've been avoiding, but you know you must do it.
That's right, Eric. When we bite the bullet, we decide to face a tough situation instead of putting it off. Let's give some examples to help our listeners understand better.
Sure. Here's my example. I finally bit the bullet and went to the dentist. It means that I decided to go to the dentist even though I didn't want to because I knew it was necessary.
Good example. Here's mine. She bit the bullet and told her boss she was quitting. It means that she finally told her boss she was leaving her job even though it was hard to do.
Now, let's use bite the bullet in a short dialogue.
Hey, Emma, have you started packing for your move yet?
Not yet, Tom. I've been putting it off because it's such a big job.
I understand, but you're moving next week. Maybe it's time to bite the bullet and start packing.
You're right. I need to bite the bullet and get it done. Can you help me this weekend?
That was a good dialogue, Lisa. It shows how we use bite the bullet when we decide to do something difficult.
Yes, it does. Eric, have you ever had to bite the bullet for something?
Yes, Lisa. Last month, I had to bite the bullet and clean out my garage. I had been avoiding it for a long time. It was hard work, but I was happy I finally did it. The garage looks much better now.
That's often how we feel after we bite the bullet. It's hard at first, but we feel good afterward. Do you think it's always good to bite the bullet, Eric?
Well, Lisa, usually it is. But if you're unsure about a big decision, like changing jobs, it might be better to think about it more before making it.
Well said, Eric. Sometimes we need more time to make important choices.
Well, that's all we have time for with our idiom Bite the Bullet and our podcast.
Thank you for listening to Simply Explained English. We hope you learned something new today.
Don't forget to subscribe and like our videos. See you next time.
Bye-bye.